It's big, it's fast, and it carries a punch powerful enough to shake the Kremlin's war machine. Meet the Flamingo, Ukraine's newly unveiled cruise missile that could push the war into an entirely new phase. For the first time, Kyiv is a weapon that can strike not just at Russia's front lines, but deep inside its very heartland. So what exactly is this mysterious missile? How powerful is it? And why is the world calling it Ukraine's potential game changer? Let's break it all down in today's deep dive. But before we continue, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more updates on the battlefield innovations shaping this war. The reveal of Flamingo. The world first learned about the Flamingo through an unlikely source, a Facebook post by photojournalist Efrem Lukatsky. The timing couldn't have been more explosive. Just a day later, President Volodymyr Zelensky was set to meet U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington, alongside European leaders like NATO Mark Rutte, Britain's Keir Starmer, and Germany's Friedrich Merz. The West wanted proof that Ukraine still had fight left in it, and right on cue unveiled a missile that could hit almost anywhere inside Russia. The message was clear. Ukraine wasn't just holding the line. It was ready to take the fight to Russia's backyard. The specs that terrify Moscow. So what makes the Flamingo so terrifying? Range. About 1864 miles. That's enough to strike Moscow, St. Petersburg, and even bases far beyond the Ural Mountain. Payload: a warhead weighing over 2,500 pounds, more than 7 times heavier than most of Ukraine's current strike drones. Launch system: land-based, fired from mobile trailers, climbing sharply into the skies right after launch. Weight: over 13,000 pounds, making it 4 times heavier than America's Tomahawk cruise missile. On paper, it's the most devastating weapon Ukraine has ever revealed. It doesn't just match Western missiles, in some aspects it beats them. Why Ukraine needs the Flamingo right now. Ukraine's biggest challenge is not bravery, but firepower. On the battlefield, it is outmanned and outgunned. Ground offensives are bloody and costly. That's why Kyiv has turned to one strategy that keeps Russia awake at night: long-range strikes. Already, Ukraine has hit oil refineries, military bases, and logistics hubs across Russia. In August, these attacks even forced Russia to shut down parts of the Druzhba pipeline, slashing Moscow's oil output by more than 13%. And since oil and gas fund a massive portion of Russia's war budget, every strike lands like a body blow. But until now, Ukraine's missiles and drones had limits, either not enough range or not enough destructive power. The Flamingo could change all of it. From Soviet relics to NATO weapons, to really understand the Flamingo's impact, we need to look back at Ukraine's missile history. When Russia first invaded in 2022, Ukraine only had a handful of aging Soviet systems like the Tochka ballistic missile and converted reconnaissance drones like the Tu-143 Ray. They scored some notable hits, even sinking the Russian landing ship Saratov, but their short range and poor accuracy limited their usefulness. Then came the Neptune missile, a modernized Soviet design. It famously struck Russian naval targets, but its 180-mile range and small payload weren't enough for deep strikes. That's when NATO stepped in with weapons like HIMARS M31 rockets, precise but only 43 miles of range. Storm Shadow and Scalp EG, powerful, with 150-340 miles of range. ATACMS up to 190 miles with cluster warheads. All of them helped Ukraine push Russia back, but Russia is vast and Moscow simply moved vital assets farther away, out of reach. That's why Kyiv needed something homegrown, and something far more powerful. Enter the Flamingo. Ukraine's drone arsenal versus missiles. For the last 2 years, drones have been Ukraine's secret weapon. They're cheap, flexible, and can be produced in huge numbers. Some, like the Leopard drone, can fly over 1,200 miles and carry up to 165 pounds of explosives. Others, like the Uj-26 Beaver, have even struck Moscow itself. But here's the problem. Drones can harass and disrupt, but they can't destroy. A swarm of drones can damage a refinery tower, but wiping out the entire facility, that takes something bigger, heavier, and far deadlier. That's exactly the gap the Flamingo is designed to fill. A rival to the Tomahawk, the Flamingo has often been compared to the legendary U.S. Tomahawk missile. Range: Flamingo outstrips most Tomahawk variants. Payload: Flamingo's 2,500-pound warhead is more than double. Cost: reportedly 5 times cheaper than a Tomahawk, which can cost up to $2 million per unit. But there's a catch. Tomahawks use advanced guidance systems like TERCOM, which help them resist jamming. The Flamingo relies more on satellite and inertial guidance, which Russia may try to disrupt. And with its huge wingspan and little stealth design, it's easier to detect on radar. Still, if used smartly, alongside decoy drones and coordinated strikes, Flamingos could overwhelm defenses and land devastating blows. The strategy behind Flamingo strikes. So how would Ukraine actually use the Flamingo? Military experts suggest a layered strike strategy. 1. Decoy drones flood Russian air defenses, forcing them to fire missiles. 2. Attack drones hit radars, air defense batteries, and smaller tactical sites. 3. Flamingos then move in, targeting the big strategic sites, refineries, airfields, weapons factories. It's the kind of one-two punch that could cripple Russian industry and military infrastructure. Imagine dozens of flamingos slamming into the massive Yelabuga drone factory, which currently produces thousands of drones monthly. One strike could set production back months, maybe even years. The Sapson and the bars of Flamingo isn't alone. Ukraine has been developing other advanced missiles too. Sapson 2, a ballistic missile reaching 435 miles with incredible speed, over 3,000 mph. Russia claims it destroyed Ukraine's stockpiles, but evidence is murky. Bars cruise missile, still secretive, but believed to have similar range to the Lyuty drone, with much greater speed and payload. Together, these systems show that Ukraine isn't just fighting with Western hand-me-downs anymore. It's building its own next-generation arsenal. The cost of war, of course, none of this comes cheap. Missiles cost hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars each. Ukraine's economy is already drained, and most of its civilian budget relies on Western loans. That's why partnerships are key. Just like Germany is funding 500 Lyuty drones, it may also help bankroll Flamingo production. Some analysts even suggest the Flamingo may secretly share DNA with a missile designed in the UAE, hinting at quiet international cooperation. If Ukraine can scale up production, the Flamingo won't just be a prototype weapon. It could become the backbone of its long-range strike capability. What this means for Russia, for Moscow, the Flamingo is a nightmare. Until now, Russia has been able to shield much of its territory by simply staying out of range. But if Flamingos start hitting oil fields, drone factories, and even military bases thousands of miles from the front lines, Russia will feel the war in a way it hasn't yet. Even if Russian air defenses manage to intercept some of them, the psychological pressure, the idea that no corner of Russia is safe, will be devastating. And for Putin, who has built his power on the image of control and strength, that could be the most dangerous strike of all. Conclusion and outro: so is the Flamingo Ukraine's game changer? Possibly. It's not invincible, it's big, it's detectable, and it will cost Ukraine dearly to produce. But in a war where symbols matter just as much as explosions, the Flamingo sends a clear message. Ukraine is not running out of weapons. In fact, it's building weapons that Russia fears most. And if even a handful of Flamingos find their mark, Putin's war machine could be dealt blows from which it might never recover. We'll keep you updated on every new development about this missile and others shaping the battlefield. Don't forget to subscribe to stay ahead of the story. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay sharp.